Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's show, NFL Week 6 preview. As always, we start off with our biggest winners and our biggest losers of the day. We talk about the Fakest Performance. We get into Nick Sirianni and his chirping at the fans after the game. We get into all of it today from NFL Week 6, and we also do a Monday night football preview, Jets versus Bills at the very end. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to download SeatGeek, use code KarterKast for $20 off your first purchase. Let's go ahead and get to the show today. We're live, NFL Week 6 recap show. Dylan and Connor are here. Let's start it off, fellas. As always, Dylan, biggest winner of this week.
Can I throw a curveball? I just thought of a question for everybody, and this is going to do numbies. This is get up. This is first take A block stuff here. So 4 o'clock games just ended. Dallas Cowboys get blown out. Okay, absolutely embarrassed at home. I had the Cowboys, bad pick. Mike McCarthy, the one benefit of the doubt that we always gave him was, yeah, he cannot perform in playoff games, but he at least gets them to the playoffs, right? There's a lot of coaches that can't even do that for their teams. Do we see a world where things go poorly and Mike McCarthy doesn't see the end of the season?
Connor, you go first.
I mean, the one thing he could hang his hat on was getting to the playoffs.
We got to go to our residential Cowboys fan, former ESPN employee Connor Sparrow here.
There we go.
So let me put my get-up hat on. Will Mike McCarthy make it to Week 6? The Cowboys dropped 47-0 on Jerry Jones' birthday. Realistically, though, I think I'm going to tread lightly here. I think there is a world where this goes south, and if there's a couple more embarrassing losses like this on a national stage, I think Jerry Jones is the type of owner to make that decision towards the end of the season. There is a world where Mike McCarthy doesn't make it to the end of the season, and I think the hammer would fall on McCarthy before it would fall on Dak due to the money, due to the contract.
Would it be because they are eliminated from playoff contention? Or would it be they drop a game they were not supposed to drop, and Jerry's just done with it?
I'll be honest. If you look at their schedule, their next 5, they're very droppable. So, I mean, if you get embarrassed by the Falcons, the Eagles, the Niners, the Texans, the Commanders, those are all good teams. The problem is if you fire him when you're eliminated from playoff contention, what does that really even do for you? You kind of have to do it before you get eliminated, and you still have that glimmer of hope.
But the problem in Dallas is not coaching, at least not 100%.
No, it's talent acquisition.
Exactly. You can't put all this on McCarthy. And if they did do that, there's not going to be some magic turnaround where it's like, oh, the rest of the year is going to go great now because we axed McCarthy. Like, that's not going to fix any of their problems.
This is the sole reason why I picked the Philadelphia Eagles before the season started, was process by elimination, where the Cowboys are a one-trick pony. We saw it when teams shut down CeeDee Lamb, or at least contain him. They can't do anything. They don't have a run game. They don't have any other weapons, really. What is Jalen Tolbert going to do? What is Jake Ferguson?
And Brandon Cooks is out.
Brandon Cooks is out. Like, even then, if Brandon Cooks is playing, what is he going to do to you? They just don't have enough talent on this team. And you go through the record right now. They beat the Browns, the Giants, and the Steelers. Barely beat the Giants and Steelers. Get obliterated by the Saints and the Lions. And really got destroyed by the Ravens. If you actually watch that game, the score lies. They haven't really beat a good team yet. The Steelers,
and we knew that.
Fine. The Steelers
we knew that was
are
going to come into the year.
Yeah, and also you're going ahead at Niners, at Falcons, home Eagles, home Texans, at Commanders. Are the Cowboys looking at 3-8?
Which one of those losses is the straw that broke the camel's back for McCarthy? I mean, if
Eagles
they get,
at home.
I was about to say, if they get absolutely obliterated by the Eagles, who definitely have their faults as we've seen this year. If that goes poorly for Dallas, that might be the game. That might be the game that he gets the axe. That's a good question, Dylan. What do you think, Dylan?
Well, it was just something that popped up because, like I said, I don't think you can fire a coach that gets you consistently to the playoffs. I understand Cowboys fans can be mad about that, not winning the big games, but think about how many teams are out there that
Ryan Day conversation.
I was going to say Ryan Day. This is the Ryan Day conversation.
I wasn't gonna do it because it's not a college football show. But if you're bringing up college football, then I might have to bring it up later in the show. But it's just a situation, and I just don't. This is different. This just feels like a different year because there's a real chance this team doesn't make the playoffs. They've gotten blown out, and it's a real problem. And I think I agree with you guys. think that this is 100% a coaching issue, but there's nothing that will, I don't want to say instill change, but make a fan base think that there is going to be change, like a head coach firing or drafting a quarterback in the first round. So I don't know. It was just something I thought of. But Karter, you brought up the NFC East and, process of elimination. Dallas Cowboys are it. Or no, I'm sorry, the Philadelphia Eagles are it. We forgot about the Washington Commanders. Who would have thought this?
Well, yeah.
And that brings me to my biggest winner of today, Jaden Daniels. I have I don't want to say slandered the Commanders. I have been very cautiously optimistic, and I'm talking super cautiously optimistic about this Commanders team because the defense is so bad, and that's what keeps me from saying the Commanders are the winner here. But Jaden Daniels, you could make a serious argument just based on today. He played up to the level of Lamar Jackson. 24-35, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. The leading rusher for the Commanders. Granted, is it Robinson?
Brian
Robinson was out, which was a big blow.
Big day for the you don't know ball guys out there. Brian Robinson being out was a big blow. Daniels was the leading rusher. Eckler number 2. The defense is just really bad, guys. It's really bad. But the Daniels in the offense, it's almost like a Cincinnati Bengals situation where their offense is going to keep them in games. The offensive line has looked a lot better than last year. Jaden Daniels has, in my opinion, by far been the best rookie quarterback. Jaden Daniels comes out the big winner here because he was able to compete at a level of an NFL MVP in Lamar Jackson. It was very impressive. Jaden Daniels is my winner today.
And this is the part where if you're a Commanders fan, this is what you dream about on draft night. When you draft a player like Jaden Daniels, or if you're the Texans and you draft a player like CJ Stroud, where you still have a lot of question marks going into a season, but you get a new head coach, you get a new quarterback, he's on a rookie deal, and he comes out and plays like this and just dominates and proves this guy is going to be an MVP caliber player in the NFL. And now they're just a legit contender, not just in the NFC East, but if they can patch some holes in this defense, they're a contender in the NFC.
Yeah, and if you go back and watch the preview shows, I was never out on Jaden Daniels, but I did not think he'd be good this year. I will be the first to admit, I did not think he'd be playing like this in his first year. I thought he'd be taking some bad hits. And Dylan, I think you're right. I had a couple winners down. I wrote down Jaden Daniels because he had no turnovers. He played pretty well. He dueled Lamar Jackson.
And it's not like this is the Bengals, right, that have a bad I mean, this was a Ravens team, although I thought the defense was going to be down this year. This is still a very good Ravens defense that he did this against. It's just that defense that for the Commanders that gets to me. But yeah,
secondary I have issues with the Ravens, but
sure. Okay.
I think the Jaden Daniels hype train is going to hit an all-time high the next 3 weeks. Panthers, Bears, Giants next 3 weeks.
And it should.
Bears.
He's going to put up some numbies. He's going to put up some numbies, guys.
The Bears defense isn't that bad, I don't think.
No, Bears defense is pretty freaking good, and that's kept Caleb Williams as a 4-2 quarterback, even though he did play well today and played well against the Panthers last week. But is that Bears-Commanders game the Rookie of the Year pick right there? Does the winner of that game just get Rookie of the Year?
Jaden Daniels has done enough that even if Caleb Williams outperforms in that game, I don't think you can. I think it's too early to make that case. Yeah. And real quick, I'm curious to see how the Commanders moving forward, not just this season, but in the next couple of years, with this accelerated timeline. I talked about it a few episodes ago. Jaden Daniels is this good, this fast. How are they gonna move talent around him while he's on a rookie deal? Because the Commanders aren't historically one of those franchises we're used to seeing at the top of the league. Now you have a legit top 10 quarterback probably in the next couple of years. How are they going to manage that when he's on a rookie deal? I think that will be something to watch out for the next couple of years.
I like it. I'll go with one of my biggest winners, revenge. Revenge is my biggest winner today.
Nice.
And yesterday,
Spite.
because you go back to last season, the Lions get screwed against the Cowboys on a ref decision that we saw last season. You saw Texas lose to Oklahoma last season. This was the weekend of revenge. The Lions come back and the Texas Longhorns come back and steamroll the Cowboys and the Sooners this weekend. Revenge is the biggest winner. Dan Campbell and the Lions are the biggest winner for me. That was so dominant from start to finish. They didn't let off the gas for a second. I loved every second of that Lions game. And we had Penei Sewell running routes out in that game. They were putting it on the Cowboys. It was just purely dominant. And right now, it's hard to say that the Lions shouldn't be the NFC favorite.
Yes, I'm 100% with you. My number one winner was the Lions, specifically the Lions offense, because Aiden Hutchinson going down is a brutal blow. And that injury
could be
was
your
gruesome.
biggest loser.
Yeah, and honestly, I was going to write that down. I didn't want to have bad taste, but Aiden Hutchinson's injury is so horrible for this defense, and I hope he's okay first and foremost. That looked horrible. But the biggest winner is the Lions offense. I think you're right on the money there. They were just toying with him. They ran a hook and ladder with Penei Sewell. Like, well, I don't think we're talking about that enough.
Oh, well, asterisk, they were up 40,000 points, so it's not like this was. It's not like
the point.
They could have ran it up the middle and probably still scored, but they were like messing around, running trick plays. Like they wanted this. They wanted this to be embarrassing on Jerry Jones' birthday, nonetheless. Oof.
But you want to use the hook and ladder to Penei Sewell as oh, this offense is great. It's not like this.
No, that was the disrespect, the attitude that I was referencing.
The revenge.
Like Dan Campbell,
Yeah, okay.
the revenge. They were purposely trying to embarrass them.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, they've got to be the biggest winner today. It was just dominant. Also, we talked about the Cowboys earlier. We probably forgot to mention with the injuries on that defense too. Also, it is just a Swiss cheese defense. You see the running back stats against this team. We got Kamara getting almost 200 yards, Derrick Henry almost 200 yards, Gibbs and Montgomery. I mean, they do this against almost every team in the NFL, but they got almost 200 yards today. It's just they can't stop anybody.
Two more winners for me real quick. Mason Rudolph, big winner today.
he's a big winner today. Yeah.
He didn't
He's
even
got
play.
job
and,
security. Oh
yeah,
my
his
gosh.
job security, his stock just went way up after Will Levis's performance. And the other winner, I wrote down before he threw the last pick, I wrote down Cooper Rush, and then he threw a pick. So half a Cooper Rush, maybe? I don't know.
Half a
Cooper Rush?
Cooper Rush, yeah.
Dylan, any more winners?
I went honorable mention. I hate to do this. This brings me no joy. I went Bears. The Bears actually look pretty good.
For sure.
This Jaguars team is not great. I'm not.
It's an understatement.
The defense isn't great. That's what I'll say. The one question mark I had about the Bears was Caleb Williams in the offense, and they have looked very good against the Panthers and the Jags.
What does that mean?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, Carter.
I don't know.
I don't know what that means because the Jaguars defense is no good, but there is something to be said about going to London as a rookie and putting up 35 points. I was impressed with what I saw from the Bears today, and they were my honorable mention, but Jaden Daniels came out on top.
And, the story's going to be Caleb Williams, 4 touchdowns, only 6 incompletions, 56 yards on the ground. That's going to be the story, and that's fine. Quietly, DeAndre Swift has had a resurgence over the last 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks, he's had 16 for 93 and a touchdown versus the Rams, 21 for 73 and a touchdown versus the Panthers, and then today, 17 for 91 and a touchdown. There was a period about 3 weeks ago, right before that stretch, where Roshan Johnson, Khalil Herbert, whoever, they were just eating into his carries, and I was like, this is the worst free agency signing of the offseason. I know those defenses aren't great, but that is an encouraging sign for the Bears. Like, I think that's another reason they should be on the winners list.
It's kind of ironic that number one DeAndre Swift hater Ben Hammond is not on the show today after 3
Notable
straight weeks of
absence.
impressive. Yeah, it's worth noting. The people are going to ask.
And he's not even willing to come on and take a victory lap for a 40-point win.
Yeah, I don't know. There's maybe some questions there.
We're just
maybe he's still lamenting the Tigers' loss.
I just think it's a bad look. I'll be honest.
The only excuse that I could even give him is that maybe he's getting married within the week, but no one would get married on college football Saturday where Texas
October
and Georgia
19th?
are playing. No one would get married that day, right?
Texas, Georgia, Miami, Louisville, Alabama, Tennessee. I mean, there's countless other games.
Michigan, Illinois.
Connor. Louisville's a favorite.
That's ridiculous.
We have to bet Louisville.
We'll
talk about that. We'll talk about that on the college football preview show.
Actually, go ahead. You gonna do losers?
I was gonna do one more winner. Justin Fields, winner today. But everybody
he won the game. But
that's why honorable mention. And the big caveat is, who isn't a winner against this Raiders defense? What quarterback doesn't look good against this Raiders defense? Why is this Raiders defense? We talked about it. We're like, oh, this D-line, they're going to be awesome. They're going to create so much pressure and wreak havoc. Every running back's having success on them. Najee Harris, 14 carries for 100-plus yards and a touchdown. This dude's waddling through them.
Yeah, he finally broke 70 yards. Najee Harris hadn't had 70 yards rushing this entire year. Finally broke it today.
Here? Andy Dalton looked like prime Peyton Manning against them. Hilarious. Hilarious. Biggest loser, Dylan.
I mean, this is easy. This is easy.
I hope we don't have the same one, but go ahead.
There's no way.
If you know me, there's only one answer here, and that's Nick Sirianni.
Okay, we went the same direction.
This guy, number one. I wake up this morning, it's Sunday of football. I'm at my childhood home, not really childhood, high school-ish home, and
where are you right now?
Mom's basement.
My actual home, where my wife and I live. Yeah,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I was in Mom's basement this weekend. I woke up and I turn on London football, watch the Jags and the Bears, and I'm on Twitter, from the KarterKast account, making sure it get any impressions that I can get. And I see a tweet. I see a picture. Nick Sirianni has shaved his head. And I see no context at all. So I say before I say something mean, I need to make sure maybe someone in his family doesn't have cancer, someone he's close to, a player. I need to get my facts right, because if I go tweeting I can't jump to conclusions, because if I go tweeting from the KarterKast account, I don't want to get clowned. I find out that he just wants to, quote, change things up. Well, you're getting 3 of your best offensive players back, so maybe that'll be enough to change things up. Maybe you don't have to shave your head. Number 2, you win a close one to the Browns. You're an 8-point favorite. You win by 4. Not really a convincing win by any means. Number 3, I think, okay, maybe you get through it, you get out of there, you go to next week. No, Nick Sirianni's on the sideline chirping to his own fans after the game, yelling at his own fans after a 4-point win against a 1-4 Browns team. I say, okay, this is getting ridiculous, but surely it can't get any worse. He shows up to the press conference with his kids on the sideline. Now, I have 2 problems with this. Number 1, if your kids are in the stands, why are you chirping at the fans? You're setting a bad example for your kids. A bad example. Number 2, this guy is so worried about losing his job. He has to have the brightest PR. He has to shave his head. He has to have his kids at the press conference. And that way, when he does get fired, which he won't make it through the end of the year, it's like, oh, but this is the guy. It's the Trent Dilfer thing at UAB. He brought his kids to the press conference. Absolute most loser stuff from Nick Sirianni. And then you claim in the press conference, this is rich. It is hard to win in this league. You take what you can get. That's what you say when you're 6-0 and you have a close one with a bottom dweller. That's not what you say when you're 2-2 or 2-3 and whatever you were, and you barely squeak out a win against the Browns, who are a 1-win team, and yet they have a washed-up quarterback. Nick Sirianni might just be my biggest loser from here until he gets fired, because the things he's finding some way to make an awful season all about him. This is all about Nick Sirianni.
But is that good? Because it's taking all the pressure off Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, the early returns, that looks great. Good plan, Nick Sirianni. That's working for you.
That was fantastic too. My biggest loser was Eagles fans, because now they can't fire Nick Sirianni after this loss.
That's good.
I think I'm seriously questioning his demeanor to be an NFL head coach, because it almost feels like a teenage girl in a crisis, or like a 40-year-old in a midlife crisis. Like, I'm going to shave my head or I'm going to dye my hair this color and act out, and then yell at the reporters for any type of criticism and yell at the fans just for not being happy with my performance. You're an NFL head coach at a historic franchise. You have to be okay with criticism.
And then you add on top the sympathy grifting of bringing your kids to the press conference. And an Eagles fan, burner account, obviously, was so nice to point out to me that he's done this before. I don't care how many times he's done it before. You're fighting for your job here. You don't bring your kids to the press conference. Now, you bring that up about childhood teen. I had a self-realization moment during this whole debacle. And I said, this might be what I look like responding to the hate comments after the Oregon game. That's first. I might look like Nick Sirianni right now.
Yeah, you're yelling at the virtual stands.
I think we need to print the bracelets. What would Nick Sirianni do? Do the opposite.
Oh, so what would NS do the opposite? Okay, yeah, that's a great acronym.
Now we'd have to have really small font, because it's a lot of words for the bracelet. But I think we need to consider having that as our first piece of merch.
We'll get the marketing team on that. How about that?
I love it. Maybe the guys at SeatGeek can help us out.
Potentially.
Deal with comfort colors.
Connor, biggest loser.
Biggest loser for me, I wrote down a couple. Sirianni was one of them, but I knew y'all would go that direction. Cowboys, clearly a loser. We touched on that already. Cardinals loser today. That Cardinals gleam and glamour really wore off pretty quickly. People thought they were actually going to have a chance in this conference. That wore off pretty quickly.
Time out. Conspiracy theory. I have a conspiracy theory about the Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals are in bed with Las Vegas, where it's hey Arizona, you guys are a huge dog in this game. F the 49ers. Go out and win this one. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Okay, all right. You're gonna get steamrolled the next couple weeks, but then when we see the Bears on the schedule, you're gonna be like a 5.5, 6 point favorite. Everyone's gonna love Caleb Williams. You're gonna go win that game outright. Just FYI. I think they're just getting paid off by Vegas. We're like, hey, this is what we need this week. Okay, sick. Yeah, we can lose by 400.
That's actually great because that's so true. What are they paying him in Call of Duty double XP tokens for Kyler Murray?
We're looking like the Rams
losers.
game. We look at the Rams game. They were like a half-point favorite, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, are you serious?" Like the Rams are balling right now. They win 41-10.
Yep.
Whatever.
That's a pretty good conspiracy theory. Couple more losers. The 2021 quarterback class hanging on by a thread, and Trevor Lawrence looks like crap. So Justin Fields is maybe the best quarterback from that class now. I don't know what's going on with Trevor Lawrence. That was their saving grace. So that class is going to go down in infamy. What?
Jury's still out on Zach, but keep going.
Fair, valid. Rashad White, big loser because Bucky Irving looked great and their third string looked great. So
Sean
Rashad
Tucker.
White. Yeah, Sean Tucker, huge loser, Rashad White. Sirianni I wrote down, and then Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy owners today. Lions dropped 50.
Tough.
He didn't have a touchdown. He had 12 fantasy points. Brutal day.
That's tough.
Yeah, that is pretty rough. My biggest loser was just Eagles fans because I just think it's so funny, and also the Jaguars. But then also I'm sneaky getting to the point where how close are we to Bill Belichick leaving the media game and becoming the Jaguars interim head coach?
Would he do it for the Jags though?
I don't know if he'd do it for the Jags.
Florida. I live in Florida.
You live in Florida. You're an old guy. You get you have a solid
taxes,
quarterback.
Good tax situation in Florida.
Tax situation.
That's
Not
fair.
that
That's
bad.
valid.
Situation.
You're in a pretty winnable division.
He's waiting for that
Connor,
Dallas
question.
job.
Connor, question: your biggest loser, Arizona Cardinals. Does it worry you at all that the Packers scored 2 touchdowns on drives that started in Cardinals territory?
I'm not in on the Packers either, so they can be a loser too.
Okay, all right. I was just making sure. I think the Cardinals. It was not a great performance we saw from the Cardinals, but I think people are going to see that final score and think, "Oh, the Packers manhandled the Cardinals." I think it was a little bit of a different story.
They have a weird schedule coming up because that Chargers game is a weird one where I feel like that's a game the Chargers probably win. That's a bad matchup for the Cardinals.
Yep. With that Cardinals Packers game, I'm gonna get the quote card out there that says Connor says Packers are one of the biggest losers of the week.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Ooh, I love it.
Go ahead.
Take it out of breaking in all caps and bold
We'll get awful announcement
on that Dov grind.
I cannot wait for the first awful announcing article, and it's like KarterKast co-host or whatever Dylan Wilkerson says Oregon by 3 scores.
Dylan Wilkerson eviscerates Ohio State.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I live for it, man. I can't wait for the college show. I cannot. We might not get to preview any games on the biggest week of the year. I'll be completely honest.
It's gonna be a 40-minute victory lap.
It's 40 minutes
turn
about
my mic
Ohio
off.
State.
And I just forget to hit the record button.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Fakest Performance, Dylan.
Fakest Performance. I had trouble with this one, and I had 2.
Did you?
I did have trouble with this one. I think what I'm going to end up settling with is, I'm going to say an entity. This is not my pick. Los Angeles Chargers coming into this game. They had the Denver Broncos divisional game. Obviously, those are very tough. You have head coach Jim Harbaugh, one of the best college professional coaches of all time, sidelined because of a health incident. We all saw this, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Sidelined because of a health incident. Heads to the tent. Fakest Performance arrhythmia, because apparently that's what he was dealing with, and that kept him away for what, a quarter? It kept that man away from the sidelines for a quarter. So apparently arrhythmia is a condition where your heart will just randomly start beating like 250, 300 times faster than it normally does. So I saw online, I'm not a doctor, it's what I saw online, and that kept Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines for all but 15 minutes. And that's just a testament to how much this guy loves football. He probably learned that at Michigan. Couldn't keep this guy on the sidelines. So Fakest Performance arrhythmia. Is it a real thing? Because Jim Harbaugh overcame it.
I saw, I didn't see this at first. I saw a couple tweets about it, and it was like, oh, John Harbaugh just ended his press conference early because of his brother.
He died.
I was like, oh my God, what the hell happened? Like, I was turning the Chargers game on. I was like, can we get some coverage? He's fine.
Yeah, I thought it was the same situation. So I didn't get to see like when they announced Harbaugh was out live or anything. I had the game on, but it wasn't. I didn't have the sound on.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Oh, Harbaugh's out. Harbaugh's out." I'm like, "What's going on?" I just assumed it was what Will Levis did to that poor chain guy today. Oh my goodness, just took the guy out.
That was bad. And I will say, those people that hold the chains, I don't know if they stand with their knees locked or what, but every time they get ran into, it's like a horrific injury, like torn patella, torn Achilles. Like, I don't know what, like, it's the worst injuries you can imagine when these guys get ran into. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it literally looks like a cartoon every single time one of them gets hurt.
It's horrible.
Like, and it's terrible because I know if I was in that situation, I would fly to the stands. Now, if I was in that situation, I would have looked like a Chilean soccer player rolling on the floor. I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, I died!"
Tell him to bring me my money.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
come on, Jerry.
But the issue is Will Levis isn't going to have any because he's going to get cut.
Well, that's mean.
The worst is the people that have to stand security and their backs are facing the end zone because you have no idea.
Oh yeah.
You just see people start standing up and their eyes get really big, and you're like, "Oh my God, is he coming to my corner?"
In their defense, how do you not hear football? Like, you can turn in that situation. Like, you hear a 250-pound football player running full speed into you. You know when they're near the end zone. They have a jumbotrons right here.
Yeah, but you're watching the crowd. So it's just your job, Carter.
Do your job. Do your job.
They're keeping things safe, so I'm not against it. So, Fakest Performance, Connor. Did you mention one?
I did not. Dylan, do you have another one?
I do have another one. I'm not going to get to it quite yet. I do want to say, in Harbaugh's defense with the whole medical thing, anytime I realize that I have to watch the Denver Broncos at 4 o'clock, my heart starts racing too. So I can't really blame Harbaugh for that one.
I think it does the opposite. I think I just go to sleep.
Fair enough. Nap game. Okay. Connor.
Fakest Performance for me. People aren't going to like this one. Tampa Bay Bucks. That's the Fakest Performance. 51 points. I mean, congratulations. They ran up the score on the Saints with Spencer Rattler as a quarterback.
With like 3 interceptions, too.
Yeah, so. Baker had 3. Yeah, fair. But people are going to look at the score and be like, holy hell, the Bucks scored 51. I'm not convinced. This was a fraud off. The Saints and the Bucks was a fraud off for me. I don't know who's
I love the commitment to the bit here. This is
not a bit.
This is from
it's not
August.
a bit.
Once it got announced that Rattler was playing, I didn't think it was a fraud off. It was just, can the Saints steal one at that point?
This is what the Bucks are supposed to do.
Yeah. Fakest Performance. Guys, this was easy. This is the easiest answer ever. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. They barely beat the Cleveland Browns. They look terrible today. And everyone's going to look and say, oh, well, they beat the Browns by 4, like solid. Okay. They were awful today. They arguably should have lost that game. If Andy Dalton is suiting up for the Cleveland Browns, if Joe Flacco's still suiting up for the Cleveland Browns, they beat the Eagles today. They're a bad football team, Dylan.
They are a bad football team.
They're going to win games because they have a nice schedule, though.
Yeah, they've a pretty nice. I think that almost serves to be worse though for the Eagles. It's like if they drop those easy games, that's worse than having hard teams on deck and losing, because now everything is just questioned right now in Philadelphia.
Question.
Okay.
As an Eagles hater like you are, would you rather have the Eagles miss the playoffs or have them go to the playoffs and get absolutely embarrassed in the first round?
Oh, miss the playoffs. I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, miss the playoffs. And this is like the Eagles thing has really lost its steam because I was just so right about this team. It's like no one cares anymore. The Eagles fans, if I was to resurface that video on X, Eagles fans would agree with me. There would be no pushback. So it's almost like in a sick way, I lose some of the pleasure from being on this take. Now, when Nick Sirianni gets fired, you best believe I will be quote tweeting that video. I tried to tell you guys back in October of last year, but now it's like the Eagles lose. It's just, it's it's another day. It's just an everyday thing.
Dylan, let's start with you. Most important performance of NFL Week 6.
Most important performance of today, and I hate to do this. This brings me absolutely no joy like the Eagles stuff does. I'm being serious. Will Levis and the Titans, because that whole game against the Colts told us a lot about Will Levis. He had 3 drives at the end of the game. All you need is 3 points. You need a field goal. You go interception, punt, and then it's kind of like 2.5 drives to end the game, because at the very end he had 1 play. They rushed 1, and it was just a bunch of laterals. So you can't hold that against him. But that interception he threw on that third to last drive was just an awful throw. And I have given him the benefit of the doubt. The leash has just become too short. And I understand he's going to be the starter for the rest of the year. I'm fairly certain. But really bad situation. Levis, that was the most important because it told us the most about this team. The problem is the defense is good. I'll say that. The defense is the best we've had in a while. It's the best we've had in a while. And we go out and get old guys, but guys that have still shown us they can play. This isn't a situation where it's the old guys we went out and got in free agency that are having issues. We don't have somebody that can get the ball to them. Calvin Ridley's upset. I'm sure D-Hop's upset. Most important performance was this Titans team and Will Levis, because you got to do something here.
Well, we both lost, Dylan. We both lost. The Bryce Young, Will Levis, the war.
No, that's not even close, though. You guys dropped him 1 overall.
Dylan, when they talk about nuclear war, when they're like, if a bomb goes off, that's going to be the end of the world. I think just a bomb went off in that argument, and it just ended the world. Like, no one won. It was just a disaster.
No, I will concede. I'm out on Levis. I've said that. I posted that on X. I will not concede that is the same level of what happened with Bryce Young.
Well,
I just simply will not do that.
When they write the history books in 5 years, nobody's going to be like, oh, the trade package, and they took him 1. They're going to be like, they both suck.
I don't know. I will make it my duty. I'll edit the Wikipedia page if I have to. I'll make sure that it goes down in history that the Panthers gave up a whole bunch of stuff to the Bears to get that pick and take him number 1. I'll take it upon myself.
The issue with Will Levis, so far this season and throughout his career, is his decision-making is so pitiful, man. It just hasn't improved. It just doesn't improve.
So I'm going to push against that a little bit. His decision-making is why I gave him the leash in the first place, because those are things you can, like I said at the beginning of the year, it's as simple as taking a sack, right? You don't have to make something happen every play. Those are things that can be taught in practice. If there was a talent gap, that would be a problem. Levis fixed the choices that he was making. He fixed the decisions. Now he's just being a bad quarterback. That was an awful throw. So, and that's why if he was still making the bad decisions and that was the only problem, I'd still be in on it.
But I think that's the issue, is where it's almost getting in his head where he's like, okay, I need to be super conservative, but he doesn't feel like he can play loose. But when you have Will Levis play loose, he's more prone to commit turnovers and make those silly decisions, but he's also more prone to make those insane throws to DeAndre Hopkins.
I have seen improvements, in my humble opinion, on the decision-making side, and that's why I'm out on it. Because there is no more excuse for me to make.
So no more mayo in your coffee.
I have to return my Mayo number 7 cologne.
That's what I was going to ask. The cologne.
You and Mike and the Kevin Love cologne.
It's tough. It's tough.
Connor, most important performance.
I've got 2. I'll be quick. It's 2 heavy favorites that took care of business, and that's the Houston Texans against the Patriots and Drake May's first start. They did what they had to do. For a team that I've been on that's pretty fraudulent all year, that hasn't had a good start to finish game, they dominated the Pats today like they should have. So that was a win for them. Second one's the Baltimore Ravens. This was a classic slip-up spot. They're going against Jaden Daniels, who's been awesome, against a bad defense that they should run all over. We saw what happened with the Raiders. They blew that game. For them to not blow that game today against Jaden Daniels and this Commanders offense, to have been really good this year, that was a huge win. And Derrick Henry, this is the first time Washington's faced an elite running back this year. If you go through the running backs they've played, it is nothing to write home about. Derrick Henry, 24 for 132, 2 scores. That's encouraging. Ravens win, take care of business. That's what they needed to do.
Yeah, Ravens were my pick too for most important performance. They're on a roll now. They're back into the saddle what we thought they were, where we've got a Super Bowl contender here. And right now you're looking at it, you're going, okay, we're looking at the Chiefs, the Ravens, The Bills are sliding a little bit. We'll see going forward. They're on the downward trend, but Chiefs and Ravens are just, the stock price is so high right now on them. That was my most important performance of the day, but go ahead, Dylan.
Imagine preseason saying that a 7-point win against the Commanders would have been the most important performance for the Ravens. That's wild to think about.
It is
true.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
It is very crazy. Other most important performance I had, I just keep beating that dead horse. Nick Sirianni, he kept his job today. He kept his job.
Yes.
He gets a paycheck for another week, and I know if he gets fired, he gets all the buyout money and whatnot. But he gets to keep his job
brought his
one more week.
kids. He brought his kids. Don't fire him, Carter. Please stop story.
How dare you, of all people, Carter, suggest that a man with 3 kids should get fired from his job? How selfish of you to suggest that.
Chargers, also most important performance today.
I said that too.
Yeah.
I had the Chargers and Justin Herbert because the guy's been going through so many. He stayed healthy, and he actually had some pretty good throws. This Chargers offense has not been that great, and he had some pretty good throws today.
I think it helps Surtain went out, and also getting that division win on the road. Obviously, it's the Broncos. It's not a great team and whatnot, but Broncos have been a little frisky this year, and getting that win on the road into the division is big time for the Chargers. So, most concerning quarterback performance today. I think we should all kumbaya here and say Will Levis.
Yeah, I wrote that down. If you pass for less than 100 yards on 27 attempts, that's a big problem. Calvin Ridley, not great. Dylan, you sent that video. Oof.
Yeah, we've seen Will Levis enter the Josh Rosen, Bryce Young discussion.
Is it a voodoo doll? What is that?
Yeah, what are you looking at? Sorry, for the people on Spotify, he's holding a Titans voodoo doll.
I'm holding a doll, a Titans doll with a frowny face on it and some hair. So my wife got this for me. You're gonna have to put the explicit tag on this. I'm sorry, Mom, if you're listening, but it's called a damn it doll. So when your favorite team does not perform well, you slap it against something, and it's damn it. I don't use that kind of language, but that's what this is. Dang it doll, I should say. Dang it doll.
Daggum.
Yeah, you're right. And I'll be honest, this was one I really didn't come up with it. I mean, I had Watson down, I had Lawrence down, but
the usual suspects.
Yeah, usual suspect. Will Levis is the right answer here. I can't really push back on that. I don't have any other options, really.
Also, I don't think that many quarterbacks played that bad today. Like Andy Dalton, whatever. He had a couple bad picks, but they're playing from behind, and they're a terrible team. I guess Dak would be a pick there, but that's just an unwinnable situation, it feels like, right now for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There was nothing that popped out to me, especially in terms of good quarterbacks that had bad performances.
Yeah. Encouraging quarterback performance.
You want to go first here?
I don't want to go first. Connor, you got it.
My encouraging quarterback performance, guys.
Shocker.
That would be Jared Goff.
Oh,
because he
absolutely
torched this Dallas defense. And we already talked about the Lions. I think that offense put to rest any question marks we had about them during the regular season. I think they're back in the saddle for the NFC. They're going to be the 1 seed. This Lions offense is fine. I know the Cowboys are on fraud watch for sure, but I think Jared Goff not laying an egg on a big stage like this against the Cowboys, I think that's a positive. So he's my most encouraging quarterback performance.
Oh, I love it. I didn't do most encouraging because I feel like that would have gone to Lamar, Jaden Daniels. Jared Goff's probably the right answer here. I just went with an encouraging quarterback performance. It's Drake May. I really like what I saw today. I know he threw a couple picks, had a couple turnovers, but overall, man, he's a gamer. This guy, he can make any throw you need him to. He can run. He can scramble. He's a big guy. I think if you're a Pats fan watching today's game, yeah, you lost, whatever. You knew you weren't going to win that game anyways, but
right.
I'll tell you what, you probably had a lot of fun watching Drake May play football, and he looked pretty good doing it.
Spin zone, maybe that's why they started him today, because they weren't going to win it no matter what. So if they put him in against a bad team and then he lays an egg and they lose, all of a sudden, there's a problem. Spin zone. I will say Drake May did look good, had some good throws. Yes, he had 3 turnovers. I would have bet my entire bank account he would have fumbled once today. Sure enough, he did. That was it. I mean, that was a given.
Him to throw a pick had to have been minus 200 too.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even look for it. I don't even know if it was listed. I will say he's getting no help from the O-line, no help from the backfield. Antonio Gibson, 13 carries for 19 yards. When you're a one-dimensional team like that in your first start, that sucks for him. And he still had some good throws. Yes, it was questionably in garbage time. But I think you're right, Carter. I think the signs were there. He had a few plays, getting out of the pocket, some great throws right on the money. I think that's the right answer. It's a good answer.
I love it. Dylan?
For my encouraging performance, we're going to turn back the clock here a little bit. It feels like it happened 4 weeks ago. I'm going to go Brock Purdy on Thursday Night Football. He had thrown an interception the 2 weeks before, 2 interceptions actually against Arizona the week before, and he comes out and throws 255 yards and 3 touchdowns against a team that has a defensive-minded head coach. Granted, might not be that good. Who knows?
Okay,
but
there we go.
But this was, I mean, Mike McDonald was the defensive coordinator for the Ravens team that absolutely blew this 49ers team out on, I think it was Christmas Day.
Christmas
so this
Day.
is, the narrative could have been, Mike McDonald knows Brock Purdy, and if that was the narrative, it wasn't true because Brock Purdy had a pretty good day.
Yeah, but also at the same time, yeah, I think it's a good answer. I think Brock Purdy played really well, but the Seahawks defense, they're a bad defense. Now, it might just be a year away and they're going to put some pieces together. I'm not saying Mike McDonald's a bad head coach by any means, but I'm not going to sit here and believe in a Seahawks defense that's given up 20 to the Jacoby Brissett Pats, 20 to Bo Nix, 42 to the Lions, 29 to the Giants, and 36 to the Niners. That means you're a bad defense.
Giants on short rest, that is worth noted. They had a severe rest disadvantage, which we saw come true again today with the Bucs and the Saints. So before you say, let's not put any credence into that.
There's also Spencer Rattler.
You say that about 30 points. Come on.
Yeah.
You say that about the Seahawks defense. It might not be good. That's fine. He threw 2 interceptions against a Cardinals defense that's probably worse. So that's like, you see some progression there against 2, even if it's 2 bad defenses.
Oh, no. The Brock Purdy answer's right. I'm just sitting here trashing the Seahawks defense. Like, I
that's
think
more
Brock
than
Purdy
fair.
and I think Brock Purdy was fantastic. So, I mean, it's like Jared Goff. He went against a depleted Cowboys defense today, but he still destroyed them in every way of the game. So
I love it.
Anything else we want to touch on?
This isn't going to go well. I know this won't go well because people are calling for this guy's job right now. And it's not Nick Sirianni.
Thank goodness.
Are we ready to have a conversation
Joe Biden?
About,
People are calling for his job. Joe Biden? No.
Sorry.
Yeah. Cut that, producer.
Yeah. The Browns have an 11% drop rate. That's in the 4th worst pass block rate. Are we 100% certain that this is a Deshaun Watson issue?
I think it's an everything issue. I don't think it's coaching. I think it's talent. That offensive line's terrible. And when you don't have time to throw, we've seen in this league, you're not going to be successful. Watson's been inaccurate, but I also think
top 10 in the league and on target rate.
How much do you but what's how far is he throwing though? Is he just throwing checkdowns? That makes it easy. And so with the Browns, how much of it do you think is these players are kind of just where it was with Bryce Young and the Panthers, where these players aren't playing as hard for Deshaun Watson, but a guy like Jameis who comes in who they like, they play a little harder. Now, I know that's not going to turn you into the worst offensive line into a top 10 offensive line, but I feel like there should be a little credence into that.
I think there's a lot of apathy on the Browns sideline, and I think it's worth noting this is probably the most bleh team in the league right now, where it's like they have some good pieces. The defense should be okay. Sean Watson, 4.9 yards per attempt. That's last in the league. That's not all because of the offensive line. That's not all because of coaching. That's not all, he has to be mostly at fault there.
But
now the run game sucks. I'm not going to lie. Run game is very stagnant without Nick Chubb. So he's not getting any help there. But I think the majority of the blame goes to Deshaun Watson, and rightfully so.
I'm going to push back here a little bit. You can't have a league-leading 11% drop rate and convince your quarterback to throw the ball down the field every time, or feel comfortable throwing the ball down the field every time. So you're saying this...
Are they calling these plays for him because they know he can't do it anymore? Are they calling the short checkdowns or whatever? Like, maybe it's not entirely on him that they're not throwing the ball down the field.
Here's what I'm going to choose to believe. I think you're right. They're not throwing the ball down the field. His ADOT is not very long. What was it you said again, Connor?
He's last in the league at 4.9 yards per attempt right now.
Okay, 4.9 yards per attempt. I think that's more than fair. When you're dealing with a team that has the 11% drop rate, you have the 4th worst pass blocking rate, you have the 4th worst receiving rate on PFF. I think you have to adapt. You can't throw the ball down the field because you don't trust your receivers to catch it. You don't give Deshaun Watson the time to let the play develop. Now, here's what I need this. If we clip this, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson looks like a good quarterback. What I'm simply doing is I'm providing points here. 11% drop rate for the Browns, 4th worst pass block rate, 4th worst receiving rate, and he's top 10 in on-target rate, which might be a product of the short passes, but the short passes might be a product of the drop rate and the offensive line and how good your receivers are. I'm just saying, maybe Deshaun Watson's getting a little too much hate here.
What if that's what I'm saying? I think just it's a bad team right now.
It's fair.
Yeah,
Simple.
I think so too. I think
And
that's
Deshaun
the bottom
Watson's just
line.
getting the brunt of it.
And where else are you getting that analysis that the Browns are a bad football team?
Yeah,
Brown's
right,
stinky
yeah.
poo-poo. That's why you come to the KarterKast.
Dylan, anything else you want to hit on?
Cowboys fans, you got blown out at home against the Lions team. Don't worry, though. Yankees play tomorrow. You're back, baby. You got something to look forward to.
Lakers start in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Duke basketball's
Ohio
a month
State.
away.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, man.
shoot.
That was fantastic.
Just the
That was
boys.
fantastic. I'm out. I think we kind of nailed everything. The Bears look good today in London. Another long day of football. We're going to sit here and watch Bengals Giants. And, last thing we should probably hit on Monday Night Football. We got Monday
I
Night
forgot
Football
about
tomorrow
Monday
night.
Night
Yeah, we did
Football.
almost forget about that. We got Bills Jets. Bills are -1 at MetLife in this game. This is a big game. We got an interim coach game for the New York Jets. We got the Bills who have been sliding down, going downward a little bit. Is Khalil Shakir playing? And I can't believe that's a serious question I have to ask. People say, "Oh, Khalil Shakir. Oh, that's funny. That's cute. He's their best receiver."
Yeah, he is. I'll go quick here. I think this is a time to buy on the Jets because Josh Allen got a little banged up last week. You know, they didn't look awesome. The play calling at the end of that game was inexcusable. McDermott came out and talked about that already. I think the Jets come out tomorrow and make a statement. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but this is the classic narrative Aaron Rodgers game where he's like, F you, Robert Saleh's gone. I'm still that guy. And he's going to come out and put on a show against the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. And I don't have any stats to back it up. I've just watched Aaron Rodgers for a lot of years, and that's what's going to happen.
Yep, it does seem like an Aaron Rodgers FU game, and also I'm always going to buy in on an interim coach game. The guys are going to buy in. This is going to be a different team that we see from the New York Jets at home. Give me the Jets money line against the Bills.
Not with you guys there. And for solely one reason, right?
Aaron Rodgers?
A-Dot.
No. Do you know who's calling A-Dot? Do you know who's calling the plays on offense for the Jets this week?
I did see.
Nathaniel Hackett?
Nope. Take another guess.
Aaron Rodgers.
You'll never guess it. Because
Aaron Rodgers.
honestly, that probably is
No, we're not talking about who's leading the coaching search.
Tyrod Taylor.
Todd Downing. And you might be like, oh, who's Todd Downing, Dylan? Why do you have a vendetta against Todd Downing? He was the Titans offensive coordinator from 21 to 23, and he is booty cheeks. He is awful. If you want to take anything in this game, I would go Breece Hall rush attempts, and I would go Braylon Allen rush attempts because all they're going to do is run the ball. Now, you might counter that by saying, oh, well, Dylan, the Titans led the league in rushing yards, or they had this many rushing yards when he was offensive coordinator. We had a little guy named Derrick Henry. So I would be a little cautious when citing that. I'm going Bills all the way here. Todd Downing is awful, and I would take Jets fans. I've been going at him all week. You want Nathaniel Hackett calling plays over Todd Downing, 100%.
Let me ask you this. Running the ball in this Bills defense is kind of the key to success against them.
Don't care. He's a bum. That's
okay.
I do not care.
There you go.
I can't argue that. I can't
Stack
argue
the box, make Aaron Rodgers throw because he's not going to be throwing.
You're speaking NBA language now. You call him a bum. You're like, he has no aura. That's all you got to say. That's
Where
the
is he on the
analysis
top
for
10?
basketball.
He's got to be a top 17 right now.
Now, I think if
top
Todd Downing could bring the skibbity toilet to MetLife, I think they could riz their way to a win.
And that's where we end the show. And that's where we end the show. I like the Jets on Monday Night Football. Dylan, anything else? Connor, anything else?
Give me the Bills.
Give me the Bills.
I'm on the Jets.
Yeah, give me the Jets. And I'm probably going to regret saying that. You know,
Me too.
there's nothing worse than when you're like, you know what? Now I'm going to fade Patrick Mahomes. Now I'm going to fade Josh Allen. Then you're like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. Josh Allen, sneaky, not great primetime quarterback, Dylan. I don't know if you knew that. Someone told me that once upon a time. That was actually you.
It was me?
Yeah, you said that all last season.
We've been doing this so long, I forget
There's
what
about
I
to be
even
some
say.
old takes. About to be some old
Except
takes
for-
exposed.
Except that's why I'm hoping we never get big, is because I probably said some things on here in the early days that I do not want aired back.
I'll say it
Album
off
of the
air.
week. Album of the week. I've been throwing album in my background. Album of the week. Olivia Rodrigo. Guts Spilled.
Make
Limited.
sure to follow at KarterKast on everything, at Connor_Sparrow, at Wilkerson A. Dillon, at Karter B8, at KarterKast on everything. Hit that subscribe button, like and subscribe to the YouTube video if you're watching right now. Check out our college football preview coming Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. We'll have our NFL preview. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review. Use code KarterKast at SeatGeek for $20 off your first purchase. That's it. Adios. Bye-bye.